So, I welcome you all. Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Mark Hoffmann, as mentioned. I'm CEO of Swissgate, and I will talk about the cannabis market in Switzerland for the next 15 minutes. Before we continue, a short overview over the table of contents. I would like to introduce you to Swissgate before we go into the Swiss market, because there are a lot of information which I will pick up afterwards in the speech. I added also some slides for you afterwards if you take a look at the presentations in a review, but we'll just flow over them in some parts so we be in time. First of all, as I mentioned, I would like to introduce you to Swissgate. We are a Swiss-founded startup which was founded in November 2019, and we are a family-owned startup which was founded by myself and my brother Dominic, and the third one, Michael. At the moment, we have 3-generation businesses, so from us to the grandparents, aunts, everybody's working for our company. And we have also, as a strategic think tank right next to our board, some experts which are from our network which support our startup case. The reason why I speak here is our vision. Then, thanks to quality standards, expertise, and transparency, all people in Switzerland and internationally should use cannabis products without any worries and 100% legally. In this case, our mission is to divide the market into the 3 segments we will talk about afterwards: recreational market, medical market, and also the healing product cure market. We as Swissgate offer some different products in terms of cosmetic, lifestyle, and nutrition. These are all recreational products, but as I mentioned, we are also in our mission is to segment the markets in the different 3 segments. Our product brands, Herbalia and O'Donnell's, are offered by our own e-commerce store and B2B partners around the globe, from Switzerland to Uruguay, Argentina, and also in Europe. What makes us as Swissgate special, and why am I allowed to speak about the Swiss cannabis market? We see us as pioneers in our home market. We are exclusively innovative with our products, so we do no white labeling or such things. We create all products by our own. We do the product research with Swiss universities, so they're scientifically foundation, and then we go into the development. We also offer free consultancy services for B2C and B2B partners, also for government relations, commercial associations, so really into the educational stuff. As I mentioned, we're a family-run startup business. We were the first company in Switzerland who was allowed to promote cannabis on TV and radio station on federal TV stations, and we're also the first company in Europe who is allowed to enter the professional football sport. We are allowed to do in Switzerland education in the stadiums for the crowd and the fans, so also there the pioneer spirit again. And as I mentioned, we do extensive database development, especially with Swiss universities. And that's for a short overview over Swissgate. I have added the product range, but I just will fly through it. As I mentioned, cosmetics and different food products, right over to lifestyle products. All our products, as I mentioned, we offer them in white labels, so if somebody's interested, come at our booth afterwards. And we also have the ability with our partners to produce private label products in about 15 different product creations. But now let's get into the subject, the Swiss cannabis market. The Swiss cannabis market is at the moment segmented in 4 different segments. From left to right, we start with the medical part, then the cure healing part, then our segment, the recreational part, and there are also the pilot test for recreational products, which was mentioned today's morning in one of the speeches. And all these different segments are accompanied by the illicit, the black market. If we take a look at the medical market in Switzerland, it is that we have only one medical product which is allowed to be subscribed from doctors to patients, and only in terms of spasticity in multiple sclerosis. And as you know, Sativex in many other countries, it's also allowed as a medical product. But that's the only medical product we have in Switzerland at the moment. What we have much more are the so-called cure products. These are products which can be subscribed from doctors to patients, and pharmacies produce them for the doctors. But the thing here is, they meet if the doctor subscribes that to you, you need a special allowance from the public health of government, so that you're allowed to use that pharmacy subscription. This will change now in Q3 of this year, and this special allowance of the government will no longer be needed. So every doctor can prescribe cannabis products to its patients for different purposes, not only multiple sclerosis, and also CBD flowers for smoking, for example, are also allowed as a medical device in Switzerland after September 2022. When we take a look at the recreational market where we are active, as I mentioned, we have the 3 different segments: wellness, lifestyle, and food, where we are active in. And in Switzerland, you have also a lot of textile products and also raw materials, for example, for construction or for other product developments. And the last market segment for the short overview is the experimental market. Since 15 May 2021, it is allowed in Switzerland to do scientific research with cannabis products up to 20% THC. At the moment, the limitation in Switzerland for recreational products is 1% THC. And the idea behind this from the government is that companies like us do researches scientifically founded in company with universities to provide a scientific base for the future regulation of recreational cannabis in Switzerland. The thing behind this, dry out the black, the illicit market. That's why this experimental article was launched last year. This is the ground segmentation, and with it there come so many problems and also approaches from within the industry, but also from us as a Swiss company. If we take a look at the 4 different market segments, we meet these different problem fields in this case. First of all, the disagreement within the Swiss cannabis industry. As I mentioned, we have these 3 already existing markets: medical, cure, and recreational. And we have 3 different associations in Switzerland who do not cooperate with each other. The medical association do not want to do anything to do with the recreational market, and the recreational market doesn't want to have anything to do with the cure market, for example. And within these associations, there are at the moment lawsuits between different board members, so a lot of disagreement between members of an association who seeks for the same cause. Also, a big problem is that we have a lot of players in Switzerland which entered the market when it was legalized in 2016 from the black market. And this black market thinking and attitude is still visible in the market. So a lot of consumers, government authorities, etc. have this stigma, which we heard a lot of today. And this comes directly from within the industry because we have a lot of players who act like this. Then we have a lot of outdated or not well thought through legalization purposes. For example, in Switzerland, we have, next to novel food law, which you all know, we have some Swiss own regulations from hemp products, but these regulations come from the 1960s, so they're over 60 years old, and they will be not updated at the moment because the government says they need scientific data to update it, but they will do not the research. The companies has to do them by themselves. And this leads to another problem, because in Switzerland we are a federalistic nation. That means every state can, the government can put the government law in its own interpretation. That means, for example, in one of the states you can sell CBD as a food product, despite the novel food subject. And for example, where we are based, we are not allowed to do that. The police comes to control us, for example. And in other states, you can do what you want with the products. And this is due to the federalistic structures. Then we have also a lot of economic restrictions in Switzerland. For example, we as a Swiss company are not allowed to export our Swiss products to the European Union, for example, without putting any person in place in one of the European countries. But you, for example, as European companies can import to Switzerland without putting any person in place in Switzerland. So we cannot export, but other countries can export to Switzerland, which means the consumers in Switzerland buy a lot of times the products abroad and not in our own home market. Then also a big problem is that in Switzerland it's very hard to find a bank or an insurance who insures your product assortment, who offers you a bank account. So at the moment for us, we as a startup, we are totally self-founded by us as a family. So we have no credits from banks, etc. We had over a half year until we found a bank who gives us a bank account for it. And that's a big problem in the market itself. And then we have also, the next problem is the marketing subject. In Switzerland, a lot of products cannot be promoted publicly, online, social media, or in big public channels. And this is also one of the biggest restrictions we meet. And that's why we as a Swissgate engage us within the Swiss cannabis industry with some different approaches, which in our opinion should not be carried out by only us as a company. This should be the strategy also of the different associations. And it begins with the engagement within the industry. It's not possible that the associations itself have disagreements with each other. There has to be one big association where the different small associations have to be funded under. So we are one unity in the public, because the publicity, looks at all the branches, see these differences, and that makes us look unprofessional. Then what's also missed in the Swiss market, nobody or very few does research and development with universities. As I mentioned, the Swiss government is not willing to change anything until it is scientifically founded with any data. That's why we are doing some research projects also for the recreational market. But before we're launching a project or a product or anything, we do some scientific researches. Then intensification of the public affairs. I think the American way showed it to us. That's how you need to work. You need to go outside of your little cannabis box and go into the politics, do some lobbying, influence the interest in national interest within the mind of the Swiss cannabis industry. Then we're also working with innovative partnerships, as I mentioned, because a lot of marketing tools are not there for recreational products. So that's why we go into different segments, such as I mentioned, the sport or TV and radio, where you have a top of the share of voice from 100%, no competitors. So you really gain the top of mind status. And also the last point, the education and the concealing. As I mentioned, there is a lot of insecurities and lack of knowledge around every level, from the government to doctors to the police to the consumers to the insurance to the bank. So everybody has some stigmas against cannabis, and that's why we offer these education services. For example, on B2C level, we offer CBD parties where you as a consumer can book us. We come to your home, you can meet with your friends, and you can test all products. We give you a speech about the products, the ingredients, what are the benefits of it, etc. So a lot of knowledge there. But as I mentioned, also in business clubs, commercial associations, etc., we go to speech and educate the people about cannabis. And that's just in a short overview what we as Swissgate in our small environment do, but these should be the assets which are, how do I say, pursued by the whole industry in Switzerland, because that's how it works in long term. When we take an outlook to finish my speech, then it is necessary that every research we do is scientifically foundationed. It needs to be done by university. If we do it as a private company, it is too commercial. The government will not accept it, so we have to do with Swiss universities. Then also the discourse between the industry associations in Switzerland, but also internationally, has to be strengthened. And in our opinion, it is, Switzerland has its own regulations, but if you want to export it, the Swiss regulations do not matter because we meet other regulations. And these, for example, in Europe, there has to be standardized regulations for all the countries. Then what happens on the Swiss market? We see it at the moment, all the big Swiss companies are exporting and increasingly expand internationally. So the Asian market and the South American market, for example, go into the focus of Swiss companies because our Swiss-made quality label is a selling argument which cannot be beat by other selling arguments from other origins. And then also the education at all levels, as I mentioned, it has to be intensified. It changes nothing if nobody knows about the benefits of cannabis, or also if there's a negative publicity from the media, then we as associations have to go against it, publish our own statement in the medias, and that's not happening at the moment. So this is the outlook, what will happen in the Swiss market. I see now my time is over. I hope I could give you a short overview over the Swiss market, which is very complex in our opinion, and thank you very much for your attention.